In 1958, the Green Bay Packers were the worst team in the NFL. Their quarterback was a shy, courteous young man named Brian Bartlett Starr, who seemed to be living proof of the old adage, nice guys finish last.
We beat Green Bay 40-0, and then Bart just had a miserable game, and the fans were booing him in Green Bay, if you can imagine that. And after losing 40-0, instead of ducking his head and running for the tunnel, Bart came over and congratulated us. Great guy.
In 1959, the Packers hired coach Vince Lombardi, a determined winner who had no patience for gracious losers.
Well, I think that Coach Lombardi probably felt that I wasn't strong enough to be the leader that he was looking for. He was volatile, explosive, impulsive, loud, abrasive, nasty, if you will, and I wasn't. Probably I gave the impression to him that I wasn't as strong a leader maybe as he had hoped for. But what he didn't know was what was underneath. I really think that performance always speaks much louder than words.
In 1960, Starr's steady performance earned him the starting role, and the underdog Packers fought their way to the top of the Western Conference. While running backs Jim Taylor, number 31, and Paul Hornung became national heroes, the quarterback who gave them the ball was ignored and often blamed for the team's failures.
Football is that we're playing out here today. Oh, God. Oh, get him out of there, will you?
Belittled by his coach and bullied by his opponents, Starr's faith and courage were constantly tested. He stood up to the punishment and abuse with a quiet defiance, and even Lombardi soon learned that Starr's gentle nature gave no hint of the fire that glowed within.
A lot of people mistake kindness for weakness, and Bart Starr stood up to Lombardi every time he should have.
I told him, I said, look, Coach, I said, I can take all of the chewing you want to dish out. And I said, I understand your personality, and that's all well and good. And I said, that doesn't bother me. I said, but what does bother me is the fact that you're telling the team one thing, that you're expecting certain things of your leaders, of your quarterbacks, and you expect me to go out there and lead them. And I said, I can't do that if you're going to chew me out in front of them. I said, now, if I've got a chewing out coming, fine, but do it in the privacy of this office where you apologize to me when you know you're wrong. I said, otherwise, don't ever expect me to go out there and be your leader. And he never, ever raised his voice to me again.
The competitive fires in Bart Starr were well banked and deeply hidden, but Lombardi fanned them to a blaze, and Starr changed from a man who used to lean on his team to one who could lead it. Starr was a player that Lombardi never thought would make it, but few coaches ever got more out of a player than Lombardi got out of Starr.
Starr always seemed to me to be an extension of Lombardi on the field. Bart was, I think, the perfect coach's quarterback in a sense that if Lombardi said, here are the 6,000 things I want you to do, Bart would go out and do probably almost all of those 6,000 things. And he always played the percentages. Smart percentage player, not a gambler. In other words, if he had a back who was covering a receiver tight, the ball was always low. Bart knew that there was a chance that the ball wouldn't be caught, but no chance that it would be intercepted if it was thrown that way.
Bart Starr is probably one of the purest gentlemen you'll ever want to meet. But on the football field, he'll cut your heart out and show it to you. He probably completed more fourth down and one passes than anybody in pro football. People don't remember him as that, but I have, because I were on the sidelines and listened to the discussion, and Coach Lombardi would say, what's he going to call? Is he going to run it on fourth? And I said, Coach, you can bet he's going to throw it.
I think the quality of a great leader, of a great quarterback, is being able to deliver when you have to. Anybody can play when there's really nothing at stake. regardless of the game, regardless of the situation. But I really think the measure of the player is how well he plays under pressure when you have to win.
Above all, Bart Starr was the consummate pressure player, and he proved it by winning 5 championship games, more than any quarterback in history. In 1966, Lombardi's Packers won their 2nd straight NFL championship game and 4th league title when Starr threw 4 touchdown passes to defeat the Dallas Cowboys. Later, in the first Super Bowl, the Packers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10. Starr was named the most valuable player, and the coach who once doubted him had by now become his biggest fan, and together they went on to make pro football history. In the 1967 championship game, a small step for Bart Starr was a giant leap for the Green Bay Packers, who became the first and only team in NFL history to win 3 consecutive championship games. In the second Super Bowl, the Packers crushed the Raiders 33-14, and Starr was again named the game's most valuable player. Unlike most of the great quarterbacks, Bart Starr was made, not born, and the lessons of his life seem clear.
One of my favorite quotes is from William Jennings Bryan, and I think it sums up how I feel about my career and what I was able to accomplish when he said that destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It is not something to be wished for, it is something to be attained.
Front 4, though not one of football's biggest nor most heralded, was exceptionally quick, aggressive, and effective. Defensive end Ike Lassiter had another solid season, along with rugged Dan Birdwell, All-AFL Tom Keating, and mustachioed Ben Davidson. Carlton Oates was in support.
What the highlight films of the day omitted was a wild streak that made Oakland's front 4 the Hells Angels of football.
We had a reputation of being a bunch of thugs, ex-convicts, who knows how bad people thought of us.
Led by Ben Davidson, Oakland's pursuit of the passer blurred the line between fair and flagrant.
That's dirty. It's not dirty. You happened to be laying there when we had to get to that position, and we had to step on you to get there.
Ben would hit the quarterback while he was getting in the car with his girlfriend after the ball game. That was not a late hit to Ben.
He'd hit a referee if he got in the way and just, you laugh, you know.
The Raiders' favorite target was New York's Joe Namath.
Joe was nice to hit. He'd grunt real good when you hit him hard. I love to hear that sound on a quarterback.
While Lassiter broke Namath's cheekbone, Davidson got his licks in as well.
Ben hits him, and he hits him so hard that in those days the goalpost was up on the goal line. He whacks him and knocks him right into the goalpost. I thought the guy was dead. So that next year, in '67, we go to play him, and they station a referee behind the quarterback, and he starts yelling, "Lay off."
The officials were yelling at us, "Don't touch him, leave him alone." And I mean, that's not their job. Their job is to reach back and throw a flag when you do it.
Although the Raiders were accused of being dirty, there was no denying the uncleanliness of number 53, Dan Birdwell, whose suspect grooming habits were worsened by an experimental medication.
DSMO makes you smell like oysters. And he'd get in the hole, and everybody in the hole just move away from Birdie and just let him stand there by himself.
Danny was covered with hair. He had hair from his knuckles to right where his hairline was right here, and his body was covered with hair. Looked like he was wearing a sweater almost.
Throwback kept saying, you know, God, my toothbrush stays wet all the time. Birdwell was using it too.
He'd come out of the shower, he'd slap all this hot shaving cream on him, and he'd go like this. Wham, 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 wham. Now all the cuts would start.
And walk out bloods everywhere.
Now this went on every game.
Some of the Raiders may have smelled bad, but they all ate well, as a guest of gourmet Tom Keating.
Gourmet is nothing but a social pig. Remember that.
Keating lived high on the hog, a Renaissance man who enjoyed the finer things in life.
One of the great years, 1964? Chateau Margaux?
Yes, Tom Keating, gourmet cook, wine collector. One night there were 7 people in attendance, and we had 17 bottles of wine. And we started out with champagne, and Tom had a perfect bottle of wine for each course. Just a diverse group of guys, but once we came together, serious business, we were going to play that game and win it.
In 1967, the Raiders' defense set a record with 67 sacks and helped lead Oakland to Super Bowl II.
It's not too many people can say they had that many sacks. It's not too many people say they can play a football game and a team come out minus yards for a game.
We were about as good as you could get for a 3-year period. I mean, we were just knocking them down right and left. You were a team, but you were allowed to be different people. All they really wanted you to do was play football.
It was just fun. We had a lot of fun doing it, on the field and off the field.